on a second. Let me go ahead and get that title yanked. Let me move him into my house, and then y'all can come and get him. We're talking about Epstein and Ghislaine, and they are villains and awful people in this story.
Yeah.
But there's another man named Eppinger that came before Epstein.
Even if a man was raised to believe that, you know, women have very specific roles, you can find yourself an open-minded man who is willing to listen, hear where you're coming from, and be like, oh yeah, that shit makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna love you, I'm gonna support you, I'm gonna uplift you.
Hello, friend.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey. So, should we start with a toast?
I think so. I think we need to pop a bottle. Something big happened yesterday.
Oh, it sure the hell did. It sure did. Yes, pour that bubbly, friend. I've got a margarita today because I ain't got no bubbly in my house, but it's all right. We got libations on libations. And this toast is to you, Virginia. Wherever your spirit is, Virginia, you are a beacon and a hero to all women. And we would not be at this point without your bravery, my sis. So rest well, Virginia. Thank you for everything you gave us.
I knew I'd get emotional on this episode. I didn't think I'd start crying, but
Oh.
So I think our toast has opened up what we are talking about today.
Sure has, because let me go ahead and find an image, because you know.
I already know what you're looking for.
Oh, I know you do.
So I normally don't get joy from people's fears, but man. Was this the highlight of my day? I really didn't think it'd get any better after I saw he got arrested.
Oh, right. Oh my God. Yes. And we, for us here in the States, we woke up to that news, which was just glorious. Okay. I don't want to traumatize our viewers too much.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, I know we don't plan on staying on him too long because fuck that guy.
No, fuck that. It's about Virginia and her bravery and how far her testimony has brought us. But yeah, it feels damn good to watch this guilty motherfucker get arrested on his birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Okay. So listen. I was telling people yesterday, I was like, look, if you think Charles just found out about this, forget that. No, Charles has been moving in silence this entire time. As soon as Queen Elizabeth went in the ground, he was like, oh, it's time to clean house. He made sure. And I mean, I am someone who has read the books Courtiers by Valentine Lowe. I have listened to a lot of the commentary from people in the UK about British lifestyle and stuff because of the stuff I've covered about Harry and Meghan. I know from listening to commentators in the UK and from reading that book by Valentine Lowe that Charles has been very interested in slimming down the monarchy for decades. So that was already top of mind. But I think that as soon as this stuff about Andrew came up, he was like, Epstein, huh? Really? He said, hold on a second. Let me go ahead and get that title yanked. Let me move him into my house, and then y'all can come and get him. And I truly believe... I have no proof whatsoever, but I truly believe that Charles made plans with Andrew yesterday. Was like, yeah, bro, get your streamers and your balloons and your party hats. I'll be right the fuck over. And he said, come get him. He's ready.
I don't know if it's true or not, but honestly, I love that picture that you painted for me.
I just,
so happy. So I'm gonna go with it for now.
yeah,
Proven otherwise, unless proven otherwise, we're going with it.
yeah, I have the image of Charles in house slippers and a robe watching his brother get cuffed and hauled away, drinking a mimosa, going,
wearing
good
a party hat.
I refuse to not believe that. Like I just that's where my brain went. That's my imagination.
Well, I love that you shared that with my brain because I now have that image too, and it's a glorious one. So, as we know, the asshole formerly known as Prince was arrested yesterday. And we also know that Virginia Giuffre was pivotal in taking the Epstein case from being just, here in the United States to international, which is huge. So that's who we're going to focus on today. As we also know, Virginia Giuffre sadly passed away in April of 2025.
Anybody interested in more of this Epstein stuff, I recommend starting here, actually. I think that this will give you a really nice roadmap of just how insidious the entire pyramid scheme was, because that's basically what it was a damn pyramid scheme for girls. And it'll also kind of point you in the direction of some other people who were involved, because she named names.
She was also even in naming those names. There were some names that she was still so scared to name because of how deep this goes and how terrible some of these people are. So, man, where would you like to start on this? There's so many thoughts going through my head.
Well, I know that we are focusing primarily on Virginia because, this really is her victory. I think that I wouldn't mind talking about Ghislaine. And I wouldn't mind talking about what Andrew actually got popped for, because unfortunately, even though he was arrested and he did have to serve some time away before somebody came and bailed his sorry ass out, sadly, what he went away for is not pedophilia. It's not trafficking of minors. It's not having unlawful sexual contact with a minor. It's nothing like that. It's because of reckless behavior against the crown that was evidenced in these Epstein files. So I think that that's an important distinction to note. A win's a win. I just want to see the man under the jail. But unfortunately, what he's on record for doing, it's not what we really wanted.
Yeah, that is very true, and that's a really good point. It is nice to see the smallest scratch on the surface of any prosecution of anything, but in my mind does not even come close to what he deserves, does not even come close to what charges should have been put on him. I mean, it's just been so, since that photo dropped, since before that photo dropped, but that was the big,
that was the smoking gun. Yeah, that was the smoking gun right there.
That was there is no more denying this. This happened. It's in your face. And it's just been a lot of people in power playing in our faces since then.
Yes.
And especially playing in Virginia's face, in the survivors' faces. I cannot even imagine. I mean, I think about the rage I feel for these women, and I cannot even imagine the rage they felt over these past decades. And it takes to hold yourself together in the face of this vile shit and keep going. I just can't even imagine.
That is a level of strength that I will never even begin to comprehend, because what's important to note about Virginia Roberts Giuffre and her life is that literally everybody failed this woman.
From the
From the
get-go.
top to the, yeah, from the top to the bottom, everybody failed this woman. And just off of that fact alone, we are very fortunate that we even have these shreds of evidence that she held onto and guarded with her life, and that she then dispensed into a book and gave to us, and that allowed what happened with Andrew to even come to fruition in the first place, because there would be no knowledge of there even being Epstein files if it wasn't for Virginia.
Yeah, 100%. Her ability to keep going as long as she did is inspiring. And I agree. I agree fully that she was just failed from the get-go. I also agree that everyone should just read her book. We'll talk a little bit about what she talks about in her book, so those who haven't read it can get a gist of what her life was like. But truly, the best way to understand her life and her story is to read her book, and also to support her children, because the proceeds from the book go to them. So
Yes.
I love that for them.
And some of Virginia's family is speaking out right now in gratitude to see what happened with Andrew. And they've even spoken out directly to Ghislaine Maxwell, even.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that is that her brother that's doing that?
Her brother Skylar seems to be the leading force. He seems to be the one really continuing with it. Not that the rest aren't, but I think he is the one kind of leading it the most. And I know in her book, it seemed that they were incredibly close, that she had this real sense of protection over him. She even called him Skitey, that was her little
Mm-hmm.
nickname for him. So my heart really goes out to Skylar as well, because I can't imagine, he was the younger brother, but siblings, you feel a sense of protection over your sibling, whether you're the younger, the older, whatever. So for him, I can't even imagine reading her book, hearing these stories, all of this, and feeling that guilt of, why didn't I do anything? And logically, that I was a child. I didn't know what was happening. There was nothing I could have done. But I know, just on a human level, that's something that he most likely, well, and he has said himself, he has to work through
Mm-hmm.
those feelings, because you can't help but feel that way. And so for him, just the whole family, my heart goes out to them. But yes, it seems that he is the one who is showing up consistently to the court cases, to all of these hearings, all of these things that are going on. And
Mm-hmm.
really just again, big props to him and the whole family for continuing to fight this.
Definitely. And I want to also make mention of the fact that both of Virginia's parents are still alive, right? Mom lives here in the state of Colorado. Dad, I don't remember where she said that he lives. But what's interesting for like this dynamic for Skylar and for the family is that, spoiler alert, Virginia tells us that her father apologizes to her for the things that he has done to her. But then there is a foreword to this book, or at least to the audiobook there was, that explained that he was taking all of that back and that he never. So for Skylar, he has to now reason with the fact that my dad is also a part of this and he can't tell the truth about it, which I'm sure makes things complicated in that relationship for him. That is truly awful, because now that she's gone, especially, that is truly awful. And I feel for those types of weird family dynamics that they have to navigate with all of this, because it always sucks when people don't want to tell the truth or take accountability for their wrongs.
Yeah, I think that, we Virginia, she tells her story of being abused by her dad from a very early age. As you said, she was failed from the get-go. From the time she was a baby, she was failed. Throughout her life, she has her dad in and out of her life. Um, and so I kind of want to talk about a little bit about for the people who, say, well, did he really abuse her? Because if he really did, why would she even let him back? Like, to me, well, if your parent does that, like, you would just never let them back in your life again. That's horrible. And I think I know the parent child relationship is so incredibly complex. I actually had a therapist at one point that I was talking to, and I will say I was not talking to my therapist about what Virginia went through, because I thankfully have never been through that, but I do have
Thankfully.
some shit with my dad and, some other stuff. And I was, opening up to my therapist about that at one point, and I said something along the lines of, he's lied to me so many times. He's hurt me so much. Why do I even care? Why do I want this person's love and approval, and why do I care?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so angry at him, but I still want him to love me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really important to point out that that relationship between a parent and child is, well, I'm sorry. Let me tell you what the therapist said.
Yeah.
So she told me, she says, Laurel, I've worked with people before who have been abused by their parents in ways that you can't even think of. And they come to me and say, I feel so much shame over wanting this
Mm-hmm.
person to accept me because I know that they hurt me, but I still inside feel like that little child who just wants my parent to pick me up and hug me and love me.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't go away when a parent does something as horrible as Virginia Giuffre's father did. That doesn't go away because of trauma. And that actually is what makes the trauma that much more significant and hard to get through, because you're really dealing with those feelings of shame. You blame yourself as to why you would want this person to even love you, why you care about this person's approval when you know that this person is lower than low, that this person is vile. This is not a person I would never want my children around someone who does that. Yet
Right.
I want this person to love me and accept me. And I think
Mm-hmm.
just even that is just such a small, small, small portion of Virginia Giuffre's life. Um, and so then when you also have people asking, well, why did she get in the car? Why did she ever do it? She was 17 when Maxwell approached her. She could have said no. Why didn't she just, when you take someone who has been through even just the smallest bit of trauma that we've mentioned of Virginia, and again, go and read the book for yourself if you haven't, and you'll hear how much worse it gets for her. But even being through that small amount of trauma, you're really, really, really seeking acceptance and love from anybody, but especially someone who has kind of this like parental, um, demeanor. And so, yeah, for me, it was never, oh my God, why would she get in the car? Why would she do it? If you see the smallest bit of trauma she's been through, you would understand why she went with Maxwell, why she stayed with Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma really, really, really messes you up and makes you want love and acceptance in the weirdest, most messed up ways. And I guess I would just say to anybody who could not possibly understand why she would even think about going with her abusers when they first approached her, consider that a privilege. Consider it a privilege to not be able to understand that level of thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something that I think gets swallowed up a lot of times when we talk about like trauma in the parent-child relationship is that a lot of times you are functioning out of lack. You are functioning out of what you don't have, but what you feel, what you've seen other people have, what you've observed in other people's relationships, and that you want for yourself and your parent. I am in a very complicated situation with my parents. And I mean, this is not an easy existence to be estranged from both my mother and my father. But I chose this existence because it is the pain that I feel existing this way is less than the pain that I would feel still trying to engage with them and share my life with them and stuff like that. But in all of the steps towards healing that I've been through in this conflict in my relationship with my parents, I don't think I've ever stopped caring about like, oh, they should know this. Like I've run 2 half marathons. I would love to be able to call my parents and be like, guess what I did, y'all? Guess what? Like I do. I still want that approval from my mother and my father. And part of the healing process for me right now is just realizing that I'm not going to get it, and they're probably not capable of taking responsibility for the way that they have treated me, the way that they have made me feel. Like they're from a different time, and some people are not capable. I believe that Virginia's father is one of those who is unfortunately not capable. I don't know guilt was compelling him, obviously, but I think maybe fear might have been compelling him too, to say that, I'm sorry for what I did. All I know is at one point in the book, Virginia makes it clear that she found out that her father received a sum of money from Ghislaine and Epstein.
Yeah.
For her. And so
it really makes you wonder. So for anyone who is not aware, Virginia Giuffre met Ghislaine Maxwell, at Mar-a-Lago, as we all know, is owned by Donald Trump. The way that Virginia Giuffre met Ghislaine Maxwell there is because she worked there in the spa. She was an aspiring masseuse. She wanted to get into massage therapy, and her father worked as I believe it was a groundskeeper, or I think it was either it was a trade. It was either groundskeeper or like construct or like a maintenance type thing, something along those. But it was a trade, and he worked there, and he was able to help her get a job there. And so Ghislaine Maxwell spotted her at the spa and began to prey upon her. So I think it's really important to mention that in this whole thing about the father getting the money, because it really makes you wonder if he knew what was up. Did the dad know what was happening? Did he? And I
think he did. I think he had to have known, and all he saw was dollar signs. But I do want to just quickly interject here that we're talking about Epstein and Ghislaine, and they are villains and awful people in this story.
Yeah.
But there's another man named Eppinger that came before Epstein. There's considerable information at the beginning of the book that is dedicated to this man Eppinger, and he is old as shit. from what it sounds like. And
Like
I
all of them.
can't, yeah, all of them. And I'm not going to sit here and thumb through the book right now, but I can't, he pulled up in a limo someplace and saw Virginia. And so Virginia's dealings started with this guy Eppinger. And then after Eppinger had kind of discarded her, at least this was the impression that I got from the book, after he was done with her, that's when Ghislaine moved in. So it feels like they were all working together as well.
I would not be surprised. This is honestly making me want to go back and well, I listened on Libby,
Mm-hmm.
and so I listened to the book, the audiobook, and it makes me want to go back and go through this again because it's been a couple months since
Yeah.
I did. Yes, that's all coming back to me now as you're mentioning that.
Mm-hmm.
There was also the guy right here in Ocala. Now that wasn't Eppinger, right? The
No,
one
that was not Eppinger. That
okay, so
thought
I was
about
mixing
that.
those up because that's the one she was trafficked to.
Yes.
Before, and that was before Epstein.
Yes. This there was like a whole other chapter of trafficking that happened before Jeffrey and Ghislaine. And I mean, when we say that everybody failed this woman, we really do mean everybody.
Everybody. Everybody. So yes, at some point she, I believe, did run away from home because, as we said, she was being abused.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's where she ran away and ended up getting trafficked to a man in Ocala, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Again, cannot remember his name at the time, but
It doesn't matter what his name
yeah.
was. Piece of filth.
Well, I like to call him out if I can, just so people can.
That's very fair. That's very fair. I'll see if I can find a name in this text, friend, while you're talking.
But either way, so that happened. She ended up going back, getting away from this guy,
Mm-hmm.
and going back home.
Mm-hmm.
And is that when her father apologized?
No, the apology happened much later, like after she had kids, I thought. I will have to go back through the text and look specifically.
I remember there being at one point before she met Epstein where it was, yeah, I really should not have called it an apology. It was
Okay, what is it?
It was when she came back and her dad had the friend there. So
when the two friends confronted her, is that what you're talking about?
and the dad told her that he's found Jesus now.
So forgive him. Yes. And they made her get on her knees. Yes. Yes. This, okay. No, that's not the apology that I was referring to. Yeah, well, that was vile too.
Yeah. No. I'm mixing those two timelines up. It was definitely not an apology. It was hey, this man that I abused you with when you were 3. So there's that little caveat that we haven't even mentioned yet, that it was not just Virginia Giuffre's father who was abusing her. He was allowing his
adult friend,
grown
to touch his child
in whatever way that man pleased. Later, when she was a teenager, after being trafficked, comes back home because she decides, well, the trauma at home is better than that shit that she was dealing with, and comes home to her father and his friend, both of her abusers, telling her that, yes, that should have never happened. That was wrong. And here she thinks she's about to get an apology. And instead, her father tells her, this man has found Jesus now. He's a Christian. You shouldn't have tempted him
Yes.
when you were 3 years old.
Ooh, I really, really hate that narrative of any woman tempting a man to rape her.
And let's be real, because at this point, she was a child. She was not even a woman when this
Nope,
happened.
she wasn't. You're absolutely right. Thank you
You're
for correcting
telling
the
me,
terms.
you're telling a now woman that when she was 3 years old, she was responsible for tempting a man to rape her. Get the fuck out of my face.
Here, here.
I mean, the rage.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. Um, Now, what was very unfortunate is that there was one part in the story where she explained how because she ran away and then got picked up again, and then she went into this group home called Growing Together, which was just awful. They were abusing the kids there, and I mean, Paris Hilton blew the lid off of that stuff. If you don't know about some of these detention places where they put youths, definitely look into it, because it's questionable. It at very most it's questionable. But so she had left there, and then she had worked for Epstein for a little while, but then she stopped because she had a decent job somewhere. And then her boyfriend, and like, was it TGI Fridays? I can't remember, but that she was bartending, I thought, and she was making good money because she could take home tips. But then one of her boyfriends stole the money out of the tip jar and she got fired, which,
Yeah.
and that it is just unnerving to see how she escaped the cycle for a second, and then she got drugged back into it by this idiot boyfriend who just had to steal that money from the tip jar.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I want to point out again that I think there might be a lot of people in the world who might go to this mindset of, well, okay, yeah, her boyfriend did a shitty thing. Like, you really got to let that pull you all the way back down. But I
It's
just
a
really want to.
cycle. It is a how can we disconnect? She explains it very clearly that without that money, I couldn't pay for the apartment anymore. Without the
Right,
apartment anymore, I didn't have anywhere to go. So I had to go
right,
back to Jeffrey and Ghislaine.
right. So,
You
like,
are functioning from lack.
right. So the pull yourself up by the bootstraps crowd, um, there are people like Virginia Giuffre, so many people who are living in a consistent trauma cycle. And that's
Mm-hmm.
all it takes is one thing, like your partner, the person who you are
Trusting,
depending on, yeah,
depending on. Yep.
emotionally, all of these things, doing something so shitty to mess up your livelihood.
And that triggering just a domino effect of backsliding for
I can't find
Virginia.
someone, trust is
Yeah.
gone,
Trust
you
is
know,
gone. I got to
love
rebuild
isn't
stability
real.
again. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah,
oh, man,
yeah.
I don't envy her. And I hope that that does not sound horribly privileged to say, because this all just sounds horrific and difficult. The fact that she had the amount of fire that she did is astounding
Yeah,
to me, which is
yeah,
why I questioned her suicide loudly, because I just, and even now after reading the book, I still have questions. There's still things that that don't quite add up, that
so are you 100% like, so are you saying, I just want to clarify, are you saying you're still questioning if she did commit suicide, or are you 100% resolved that she did?
so I think that I am 100% resolved on the idea that she died from self-harm. What I'm not clear on is that I feel like the events leading up to that, we weren't told what was happening, especially based on some of the events of this book. People driving up to her driveway and just shining lights in the front door to intimidate her when she was
Yeah.
exposing Epstein and Ghislaine. I don't put it past someone to, show up at her house with weapons, threaten to harm her children, threaten to, I don't put it past. And so in that way, if Virginia felt like she had nowhere to turn, not her husband, not her family, because the children can't do anything, they are innocent in all of this, but the not her family, not her husband, if she felt like she had nowhere to turn, I could see her resorting to that. But I feel like the part leading up to it is what is unclear to me right now, because that woman had a lot of fire and she was committed to her mission, and I don't want to believe that she just gave up on it easily.
Yeah. So, as someone who, I struggle with depression. I have to take medication for it. I struggle with it. It's a roller coaster. It's there are times where you're just in the dark so much. I just think about the trauma that I've experienced in my life is like trauma with a teeny tiny little t compared to what Virginia Giuffre went through. And there have been times where, even with a lot of support, man, if it's the wrong day and that depression cloud is heavy as hell, that's all it takes is 5 dark minutes.
Mm,
Um,
Pause,
you know,
pause, 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 pause. 5 dark minutes.
and
Five dark minutes. That's really all it takes. You're right. It takes. I don't know why that's what's triggering me, but maybe because I've been there.
yeah, and I think about, and I just think about, sometimes it can be the tiniest thing to pull you out of that. But if you're in that zone and you don't have whatever it is you need in that moment, and I just think about the weight that woman felt.
It's just so tragic. I wish one of us millions of people out here who are celebrating Virginia right now, I wish one of us could have been able to reach her, because the fact that she's not here to witness this, it does make me sad, because she fought so hard for this. She fought so hard just to see that man, Andrew, in some handcuffs. And it
Yeah,
finally happened.
yeah. Him specifically, so many of them, but him specifically because of the way he degraded her, the way he just played in her face, denied
Yes.
and lied, and that
And he
that
tried to
level.
exploit her on top of knowing that she was already being exploited too. Like, he
Yes.
knew how bad it was, and he still tried to run game on her.
And
Fucking
he really felt that he was
insidious.
so untouchable. See, this is what really gets me about these men and the fucking women that hold them up
Like the
is
Queen. Queen Elizabeth did a lot of beautiful things, but she protected that pedophile, and that's fucking gross. Yeah, I
it's
said it.
fucking gross. It is gross as fuck. Talking to anybody who has that enough privilege to even think about something as silly as, oh, the Epstein files are so out there. They're so insane. They can't even be, it's so crazy stories. They can't, there's people saying that it can't even be real because that's how insane those stories are. It's like, there's some serious ego in these men. And the reason that the evidence, the reason these emails are so out there is because that's how big their ego was. They really didn't think they were going to get caught. That's how big that bullshit ego is. And that is what Andrew, again, when I say playing in her face,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how big does your ego have to be that the evidence is out there? You've done paid her millions of dollars because you know you're guilty. There's photos circulating. There's evidence.
And then he did that train wreck interview in Australia in 2019 where he